So I'm going to go ahead and desensitize him to the rope or the drive line going over his back first, and he already knows how to do this. And we've done it before, but I just wanted to make sure he's cool with that before I actually attach the rope. I don't know if he's necessarily done it with the like surcingle and the pads on. Um, he might have in the past, he might not have, but that's an important step. Make sure I can just toss it over him because I'm going to be doing that while it's attached, while he's moving. So if he can't do it at the standstill while it's not attached, there's no use in going on from there. So we're cool with that. Kind of run through that a little bit, make sure he's cool with all those ropes moving because they're so long, and then I have to fold them over, and I don't want him to be afraid because it looks kind of different. But we'll go ahead and attach the rope and have him go ahead and wander around here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do that. That looks fantastic. I love that. So he already did this once before, and he got desensitized to the ropes moving around while he was at the standstill, and then we did it at the walk a little bit, and then as you saw earlier in the last video, we did a little review, and I desensitized him with the driving whip, and then I'm going ahead and doing this again, and he looks a lot more confident. He's not very worried. He's listening to that rope move around, but he's still just kind of walking around, and he doesn't seem super tense about the whole thing. So I'm gonna swing that rope around and move it up and down because I want him to see like some movement directly like above his neck, so like where I would be riding. And then I am gonna swing it up over his hindquarters and then have it go around his hindquarters here. And again, I probably should have had like a rope attached to his halter. That probably would have been helpful. Castor was really good, but if you have another horse that's not as easily controlled at liberty, or one you might think is afraid of the ropes, then I would definitely attach a rope to the halter. Or if you want to use a target and he can follow the target while you desensitize with the rope, that would work too. So then I also toss it over his head and do a little bit of that. That's not necessarily needed for ground driving, but it's just a nice thing to have with the reins, or like in this case, I'm changing direction, so I tossed it over his head, asked him to go the other way, and then clicked and rewarded him for walking calmly the other way while I tossed the rope up and down. So he really looks pretty fantastic. I like what he's doing here. Just ask him to go forward, and we'll just do a bit more desensitizing with that rope. And I try to make nice big movements with it. It's a lot easier to get up over their hindquarters that way. If you do little movements, it's not as easy. You have to do a lot more work. But oh, that kind of scared him a little bit. That's okay. We're gonna do that again. That was better. And then I'll click him and go ahead and give him a treat. It's not a big deal. Like probably could have just given him a treat the first time. As soon as it touches him and he jumped, I could just click give him a treat and then do it again, give him a treat. He's not gonna think that he's being rewarded for spooking. He's just gonna be used to when that line touches him on the side there that he'll get a reward. So there I did it again, and now he seems fine with it. So I'm just kind of checking and making sure that he wasn't super worried about that. There could have been something else in the environment that he was worried about. I want to check all my boxes because the rope kind of swung down and like hit him in the side. So it was a little different place. I want to make sure that he's cool with that because that's going to be where my leg's at. Or like if you have like stirrups on the saddle, they'll be right there. So I want to make sure he's cool with that. And lots of this movement, just swinging that rope around. And then I kind of flick my wrist toward him and up to get that rope to get up over his back and like up over his hindquarters like that. Do a lot of movement here. I mean, he looks maybe a little tense, but not horrible. Again, like I said in other videos, I probably would have clicked and fed a lot more. Like, I need to feed smaller treats and then feed more often so that he's really um, putting together the rope means food. Like, the moving of the rope is fine. It's all positive. It's a good thing for him. It's a fun game for him. Which I still think he thinks, but there is just like he still is a little bit skeptical, and you can tell that by like when he was jumping a little bit because he felt that rope in a different place, so he could have a little bit more relaxation in there. But he looks good. Like I'm moving, doing both sides, tossing the rope over his head, over his hindquarters. All of that looks really good. So back over his head, and he doesn't even move. Like he looks great. So and I like that he stood there and he waited. Like that's very important. So you don't want to do this exercise and just have them walk and trot and walk, or even just walk, because then they're just stuck and go. And you need to make sure that they're good with just standing still. So there I moved the rope while he was trotting and he did excellent. So he stopped there, but I clicked him. So I wanted him to stop. So I wanted him to go into the trot, and then while that, I wanted him to continue in the trot while that rope was moving. He did excellent. Have him go the other way. I'm kind of almost in that driving position, so he's getting a little bit used to seeing me back there as well. So again, in the trot, while I toss that rope up and down, and I click him for that. That was really good. I liked his little trot too. He didn't seem very tense in that trot at all. He didn't like jump into it or take off in it or anything like that. So he's doing pretty well. I'm kind of swinging around, make sure he's cool with that. Nice. Can go around his hindquarters and like kind of follow him. This is gonna be your next step, is just having that rope be around his hindquarters. And that looks really good. I just kind of moved it around and then asked him to go into the trot, and he was perfect. I probably could have done a little bit more time at the walk for sure. Like there, I'm giving him 2 treats because he was excellent. So it's a little bit of a jackpot. But I probably could have done a bit more desensitizing at the standstill and at the walk before I asked him to trot. I kind of just jumped into that. But he was good with that just because that's the kind of horse he is. But lots of other horses are not going to generalize that too much. So you're going to definitely have to break it down, desensitizing to the rope behind the hindquarters at the halt and the walk before you trot. So, and then I just let it sit there, like the rope on the hocks, and then I'll start moving around, or I'll kind of pull it a little bit. You do have to be careful not to get it up underneath their tail. You can desensitize that. You can definitely do that, like where it goes up on his tail, and then you can click him and like drop the rope or something like that. I just try to have it not go up there. Um, it's just like a reactive point for the horse. So even if you're trying to desensitize to it, it can go up there and like even if you click, the horse could have a reaction to it and jump forward or buck or kick out or something like that. So, but he was just going along there with his with that rope over his hindquarters. So then I toss it back over, and then I'll go up and give him a treat. So he was going at the trot. He had the rope behind his hindquarters. I'll click. He'll stop. I'll get the rope over in a safe position so that it's not behind his hindquarters while I'm in front of him, just in case he were to spook and jump forward on top of me, and then I can give him the treat. So I was kind of swinging around while he chews on that. Get him to follow me here. He looked great. That was really nice. I mean, he doesn't need to do it for very long. Like, this is like a 7 minute, 8 minute video. Like, as long as, he's checking all my boxes, like, usually the better they are, the shorter the lesson's going to be. Like, if he does everything, I'm like, all right, great, that was awesome. You're done. Like, that's it. Um, so, we don't need to, I definitely don't like to drill on it because that just makes them not want to do it more. But I love that. He came up to the mountain block. I could hook the line, and I could roll it all up, and he'll just stand there and hang out for me. So I'll reward him for that. I can clip on his lead rope, and then I can just take off his surcingle here. So all of the pieces look really nice. So he can move on to getting ready to be ground driven, and we can probably work with 2 lines soon. But pretty good.